We're going to start with a blank canvas. The first thing is key light, then a hair light, add a fill light, add some colors. Now you've got a fully set look.
Junaid Ahmed is a founder of Home Studio Mastery. He's created home studios for a lot of people, which help them boost their authority in front of their audience.
I've been passionate about photography and filmmaking for the past couple of decades. I took over 15 courses to understand the basics, build on top of what you already know instead of starting from scratch.
People who use green screens, what's your thoughts around how it affects their influence?
Green screen and virtual backgrounds are really great. The issue is all around. And if you have, then that green screen can work.
That's an interesting point.
People are not doing enough research. They're not talking to people who have experience. That find the people that are doing it better so that you get better advice as well.
Yeah, that's true.
From an investment perspective, it's going to give you authority, to build your confidence, and it's going to build your business.
Please welcome Junaid Ahmed. Hey Junaid, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Hey RJ, I'm super excited to be here as well. This is going to be fun. This is my favorite topic.
Well, I'm super excited to even talk about that. But prior to that, I would love to know more about your personal journey. What was things like for you being in the production side of space prior, COVID came along and stuff like that. So we'll have to know more about that.
Absolutely. So I've been a huge passionate about photography and filmmaking for the past couple of decades, right? And when I jumped into filmmaking, which is very associated with photography, I was like, okay, this is a lot of fun, and we all love watching television. We love watching movies, and just being able to create your own content, create your own film, your own stamp in that space, totally changed my perspective, because I was like, wait, they're using these cameras, these are the technologies, and these are the strategies they're using. So it opened my eyes. So back in 2013 is when I first acquired a DSLR camera. Prior to that, I've had point and shoot cameras, iPhone cameras, all sorts of cameras. And this camera kind of changed my perspective on things, because I was like, okay, this is it's got a much larger sensor. I started learning a lot of tech around cameras as well. I took over 15 courses to understand the basics, understand camera positioning, staging, blocking, like all of the things that they focus on in filmmaking. And it kind of opened my eyes. And the other thing that I did is I joined other meetups around photography, meetups around filmmaking. And that, again, gave me the boost, gave me the encouragement to continue on the path, and introduced me to production companies and production spaces where they were creating these blockbuster level films and TV shows, and exposed me as well. So watching that journey, watching other people create stuff, gave me the confidence to then create stuff for other people, commercials, documentaries, all sorts of things. And what I did is I started integrating my personality, my hobbies into it. For example, one short film that we shot is all around beekeeping, because I'm a beekeeper myself. We joined some beekeeper groups. Like, hey, we want to talk about beekeeping industry, what got people started and what it enables. So that's a little bit of my background. And of course, during the pandemic, Pat Flynn, inspired me to go deeper into, hey, I can do this from my home, like mind blowing. And so his 1 year of live streaming on YouTube totally opened my eyes, and I was like, wait, I have all the equipment that he's talking about, that he's using in his space. Let me start implementing and putting that together. And people in my circles started noticing the level of my video going up and up and up. And they're like, okay, what are you doing? Tell us more. Can we hire you to teach us? And that's how I launched Home Studio Mastery, and to build a course around it. I've got an accredited course through Belhaven University, and I do one-on-one consults. I fly out to people to set up their studios. Like, it's been really a blessing, as well as it feeds my ego and my passion. So I'm super excited, to go down this path and this journey, because it just enables me for who I am.
Oh, wow. I mean, it's so interesting, how you were able to use or capitalize on your skill set that you had and start to leverage it during the time of pandemic, and just use those existing resources that you sort of like had of the knowledge and like start to like apply that in your
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's the idea, right? You wanna build on top of what you already know instead of starting from scratch. You're never starting from scratch. And if you've seen the Undercover Boss with Grant Cardone, where he goes
yeah,
to like a totally different country, city, nobody knows him, but he, even though he started with zero or even $1, $10 in his pockets, he still had all of the expertise, all of the things that enabled him to run his company and run to where it is. So he was able to tap into those things and bring it to a totally new area.
correct. I remember, like, similar to that, like one of the guests who actually came on the podcast, he said something similar that, like, when you go bankrupt, all you lose is money. You have all the other things. All you lose is money, and then you can have a little bit of an idea like how to get back without
Hmm.
that, single source of thing, which is fascinating.
Yeah, they can steal everything you have except your knowledge. They can't
Yeah,
steal your knowledge. And unfortunately, not unfortunately, but with sci-fi, I saw this movie lately, and I rewatched it. It's called Elysium, where you can kind of download your brain onto a chip or whatever. So there's a whole sci-fi element to it that you can kind of steal people's memories as well. I mean, we can also see in movies like uh, Minority Report with Tom Cruise, where they can see in the future, and you're kind of capturing memories of people. And what's happening with AI now is we're technically able to tap into other people's memories with the large language models that people are creating, and like where this
yeah,
entire industry is heading is pretty amazing.
yeah. That's super interesting. Speaking of that, uh, I'm really curious to know about your thoughts since you're into like home studio and stuff like that. And I will dive deep into that thing, but I would love to talk about the fact that people who use green screens without even a proper green screen, and they get on these like video calls, stuff like that.
Yes,
Like, what's your thoughts around like those kind of people who just like went in and they're not even using a decent green screen to stay separate from
right,
their background, and then they get
right.
immersed. Sometimes their only face shows up, the rest is like hidden. What's your thoughts around like people like these who are like using these type of things and how it affects their authority or influence among other people?
100%. It's really awesome question. I get that question a lot. And then I like how you framed it as well. How does that reflect on their authority? How does it reflect on who they are? Well, number one, green screen and virtual backgrounds are really great. It helped a ton of students in hiding their privacy or giving them privacy,
Yeah,
because not everybody has a really good place. But green screen is kind of like a crutch. you know if
correct.
you're not using it properly, it's kind of like a crutch, because you don't want to spend the time to clean up your room, you don't want to spend the time to clean up the space that you have, but you want to jump on the calls. The green screens work really well to the issue that we're looking at is them disappearing into that green screen, or them disappearing into the space. And that's the issue is all around lighting. They haven't implemented lighting properly. They haven't added lighting to their face for the camera to separate. This is the green screen, and this is the person. So again, better lighting is going to always help them with that green screen. The third thing that they're doing is they're sitting too close to that green screen. They need to have at least 3 to 4 feet away from that green screen to create that separation for the camera to differentiate. Okay, uh, a person is only about 6 to 8 inches wide, right? So the camera can say, "Hey, I don't want to go further than this level," and then after anything after that, I can virtually remove. And software can do that really well. The technology is getting better and better. And of course, if we look at the technology as that Macs have built in currently, right? So if I were to do something like this right here, they can separate, right? The lighting
Yeah,
is behind me, but it's done through software, because again, it's a smarter software, and because I'm giving them a much better image quality, they're able to overlay and backlay these layouts. So again, here's a rain module. Again, these things are built into, Mac OS Sonoma, I believe. Check.
Yep.
Yeah. So again, you just got more time in setting up your lighting, and if you have good lighting, then that green screen can work. So invest in lighting. Sit in front of a well lit window, right, and that's going to help you look much better on that green screen. So
Yeah.
hope that helps.
That. Yep. That's definitely an interesting point, especially like I think a lot of people also have a misconception that it costs a lot more to set up something that might look even decent. So like
Hmm.
what's your thoughts on that, like do you think like that could be the alternative reason of why people just like opt in for green screen, disregarding of the fact like that could even affect their authority?
Yeah. So again, what people are doing is they're probably looking through YouTube. They're probably not doing enough research, or maybe somebody just said, "Hey, you use a green screen." They're not talking to people who have experience authority. They're just talking to another entrepreneur who's using green screen. So what they're trying to do, they're replicating what they see. Like when I first jumped in and I was like, "Hey, I want to create some video content." I saw somebody using a vinyl backdrop. I was like, "Oh,
Hmm.
that's a pretty cool idea." So I jumped in, found a vinyl backdrop, and the one that I got was kind of faded, but I was like, you know what, I'm still gonna go with it. I put that
Yep.
vinyl backdrop in my background, and I created some content. It didn't look as good, even though I had good cameras. Again, it came down to lighting. I didn't have good enough lighting for me to pull it off, and I didn't spend enough time in tweaking the camera. So what a lot of people are doing is they're copying what they see. So if your circle of people that you're hanging out are using green screens and using an image in the background, you're going to copy that. So again, find better people to copy and find better people to ask questions like, "Hey, I'm trying to do this. How can I do it better?" So again, find the people that are doing it better so that you get better advice as well.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. Also the other thing which is also I would love to know your thoughts on that is like I think some of the most underrated thing is like it's better for you to buy gadgets in the first place rather than like spending all your time just to figure out the comparisons and stuff
I
like
agree.
that, and you get to no conclusion at all.
No, 100%, because once you find the right gadget, once you find the right camera, once you find the right lighting, you're going to immediately see the difference. You're going to immediately see that this is working better. Again, people, they're not, number one, they don't have the time or the expertise or the know how to say, "Hey, I need a better this thing." So they'll go and spend $200 on a 4K camera when all along they've been hanging out with this 4K camera in their hands, in their pockets. Like they can literally start using their smartphone to get a better image
Yeah.
into their computer. So number one, use what you have. Window lighting, you use what you have, get better lighting, get a better audio. So all of those things are three main elements that you got to think about, and people are not thinking because number one, the circle of influence is very small or not as expertise. So again, I'm just trying to get that message out there. Trying to get in more circles to say, hey, these are the three little tiny things that you can do without investing a ton of money. Under $500 you can get a really good set of lighting, you can get a really good set of microphone, and you are really good to go for the next upgrade.
Yeah, true. So for somebody who is like pitch black, they don't have any idea of like how to start in the first place, and they're there with the blank canvas. That's
Hmm.
actually, a lot of people say that's a kind of like a blank canvas if you're starting from completely scratch.
Yeah.
What should be the initial step for them to start out if they are completely new and they're thinking about, we are planning to at least like up their level of studio, and they didn't had anything in
Hmm.
the first place? So what should be your advices around like what are the checklists they should go after thinking or building their first home studio, making
Well, the
things better?
first thing I want to do is we're going to start with a blank canvas. right? So I'm going to showcase you what it looks like. So this is my blank canvas. I'm just sitting in front of a camera. The first
Yep.
thing that I need is a key light. This is the main light that's going to light you up. It doesn't matter about everything else. As long as people can see you and they can hear you better, you're already golden. People are already paying attention. So
Correct.
get a key light or sit in front of a window, get a good microphone. Those are the first two things that I recommend. Then you want to start with maybe a separation for your background. So a hair light, so that adds light in the background of you, highlights your uh, shoulders and your head, and then you add a fill light, which then fills in more of your room, and you can see a lot more of them. And then to differentiate you further from the background, you add some colors of your brand, and now you've got a fully set look that enables you to stand out from the crowd and make you, uh, you know, give you even more authority and build your confidence.
Oh wow. That first of all, like that was pretty cool. Like you've just done like live demonstration of like the whole thing step by step, which was absolutely amazing.
Thanks, man. I just want to showcase, and anybody, these are these are small, tiny things, right? And these equipment doesn't cost a lot, and
Yep.
I've had this for many, many years. Like I've had these lights that I'm turning on and off for at least 6, 7 years, right? So these things are gonna last you for the lifetime of your studio, for the lifetime, even longer than lifetime of your business. So again, think about from an investment perspective. It's gonna give you authority. It's gonna build your confidence, and it's gonna build your business, right? It's all
Yeah.
in a small investment. Just like we spend a whole bunch of time in setting up systems in, for example, the system that we work with, Go High Level or ClickFunnels. You build those systems, you spend a bunch of time ahead of, and then you can drive traffic and you can build that business up. Again, you got to have these systems in place. You got to have the right things in place so that you can grow with it and scale.
Yeah. I mean, like that's so true. And even in my case personally, I might not have like that, you know, a little bit more complex setup than you, because I know you have like so many things here in place. But like even I personally experienced it, like sometimes if a new guy comes on, the very first thing they say like, man, your studio looks amazing. And like
Yeah,
even
this
though I
it
might not using super expensive thing, like some of the lights I've
right,
been using like cost like $2 or $3 here in Pakistan, not costing that
exactly.
much. But
Yeah,
at least the assumption that creates, or the authority just get created in their mind, is like next level, and everything just gets elevated by just that one thought of them jumping on the call.
100%. You're absolutely right, and that first impression that they get, right? It's monumental, and I've seen you grow over time. You've been
Yeah.
doing interviews with entrepreneurs for at least 2 years, I think, or is it more?
Mo-
I think it's
Probably like around more than 4 years, you could say.
more than 4 years, right? And I've
Yeah.
seen that progression that you came to. Like I remember watching some of your early stuff, and you didn't have this kind of setup, but over
Yep.
time you've built that authority, you've built that connections, you've built that confidence, and it's just amazing and very heartwarming to see.
Yeah, truly appreciate it. I would love to like know more about the common mistake you see people face, or they do like while building their home studios. Either it could be maybe like gadgets or the way they implement stuff. Like, what do you think is the most common mistakes you see like a lot of people make while building their home studios, etc.?
Well, some of the common mistakes is they are spending too much time, or maybe not enough time in watching the videos. Because if they spend enough time in watching the videos on how to set up a studio, then they would be further along. But they're not spending enough time. Maybe they're spending a lot more time in their business, and which is totally acceptable. You got to have money coming in to run that business,
Yep.
to make that business work. So again, some of the common mistakes is they're not using lighting, right? They have windows in their backdrops. They're sitting in front of a curtain with the light coming in, so now you're kind of silhouetted, and then they're using small ring lights which don't do a whole lot. They're great for up in your face kind of recording, but they don't do a whole lot if you're setting up in a studio space. Like if I had a ring light further away, it's not effective because it doesn't
Hmm.
have that much output. and they're designed for really close up camera shots and close up iPhone shots, where the iPhone has a much wider angle lens. So the closer it is, the much better and cleaner you look with that LED lighting. So again, or the ring light. So again, they're not spending enough time. They're not using the right equipment, and which is totally understandable. They only are going to find and learn about what's advertised to them, or what they see other people using.
Yeah, so true. I mean, like the ring lights. I still had one that I was using like a couple of years ago aside, but all of those ring lights just give me glares in my glasses. It looks
In your
so weird
glasses, yeah.
in the first place.
Yeah, yeah. The ring light is has a very interesting look for sure, and it's it's a very artistic look that photographers wanted to create. But when it happened ended happening is because it was so less price, and a lot of people watched influencers use on Instagram and these small devices. They're like, "Oh, ring light's the way to go," but not when you're setting a bigger space, not when you're using a larger area, and what even better lighting.
Yeah, exactly. So for people who like, okay, they're like, okay, like we started working on our home studios, stuff like that. In your perspective, based off your expertise, like should people like start when they're starting out itself? Should they start focusing much on the type of branding they want to like go after, or it's like making it better in the first place and then figuring the brand side later down the road? How you see like that element comes into play?
So the branding of your space is the second step that I talk about in when you're setting up your studios. So number
Hmm.
one is figure out where you're going to be, figure out your room space, figure out your area that you're going to use for your studio setup, for your office setup, for your daily work, and then based on that room, you could then figure out, okay, here I can have branding here, I can have branding here, I can have colors here, I can have all the different things, and that's going to enable them to again think from the perspective. Again, you got to spend more time in deciding, hey, what does a camera see?
Hmm.
When I had my initial setup, this is not what the camera saw. All it saw was
Yep.
yellow walls and saw these windows in the backdrop. It didn't look clean, and I didn't pay attention because I was doing an audio podcast. But with the pandemic and the video podcasting getting a rise of 50 to 60% year over year, it's like, okay, this is real, and not only that, it also enables you to create content that's going to live on forever, and it's going to bring people back to you. So so what people need to do is spend more time, decide, okay, what kind of branding do I have, and does it even show up in videos, and how does it show up? And I like how you have the interviews with entrepreneurs in the back right there. But if I were to do that, it would be blurry, right? Because of the camera
Correct.
that I'm using. So again, it all comes down to what kind of tech you're using and what are you going to start with. So if you're starting with an iPhone, if you're starting with a smartphone as a camera, then everything is going to be focused, and you could literally put everything how you want it in that space. But as you level up and upgrade your setup, then you might have different kind of setup. So I've got Serve First here from Pat Flynn. I've got my Iron Man poster here. All sorts of things. Again, it enables me to show a different angle, and it kind of reminds me. So again, over time, you're going to understand. Hey, this is what I want to show. This is what I want to look, and this is how I want to show off on
Hmm.
camera.
Yeah, it's something similar to like the more the better.
Yeah, I mean, initially, the less the better, right? But then
Yeah.
as you level up, then you can add more elements to it. Just like when you when you start to learn how to drive a car, you're like, okay, here you got to pay attention to the rear view mirrors and the front mirror and the steering wheel, and then later on you can add additional things like listening to music, or I don't know, driving other people. So you now you can pay more attention. So again, it's it's something that you level up on. Like it takes time
Hmm.
to get. You got to put the reps in to get better at the what do you call it? You get better at using that camera and using the tech.
Yep, correct. So in your case, like what are the major tools or softwares or like your primary gadget that have made like massive difference in your studio leveling up? What were those main core things that actually
So
differentiated
I
between the other people?
Right. So the camera is what changed the whole look. So initially, I just had a webcam, which worked great. But because I had these high-end cameras, I was able to use them, and that immediately changed the perspective. And people say, why is your color looking sharper?" And this is without even me adding the lights in the background. It just added that higher level because I am sending a higher level image from my
Hmm.
computer to the internet. And even though it's getting compressed and sending over, you can see the higher quality of the image coming through. And that was the number one thing that enabled people to say, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. Plus, having a little bit of background in photography and filmmaking also helps. So you gotta back it up with knowing the things, knowing what ISO means, knowing what aperture is, knowing what f-stops and different things, elements mean is also a big help.
Hmm. That's interesting. So for people who are like who are wondering like how we can level up their studios or like how we can like possibly like learn from you how to do it, because it's like I'm personally experienced the fact that it actually elevates a lot of things, not only authority in other minds,
Hmm.
others perspective, but even into one to many interaction with your audience. People like try to tend to take you more seriously even if they're scrolling
Yes,
than the people who are just on their mobile phone with a completely blank background and having nothing
right.
going on. So like for people who want to learn, like how they can learn more from you on how to level up their studios and stuff like that.
Absolutely. So I have a few different ways people can learn from me. Number one, I have a 5-day home studio rehab challenge, which walks them through the 5 steps that I focus on, which is understanding their rooms, understanding their studio design, understanding the lighting and audio, as well as the camera. So those are 5 things that we focus on in the 5-day challenge. Then I also have a 30-day video challenge, which enables them to get confidence on creating content in front of the camera. Right, that's something that's really hard for a lot of people to do. You can use Zoom or you can use a different applications. There's
Yep.
Zoom, Riverside, like all the applications that can record video, or simply on your phone that enables them to get better at uh, uh, being competent, on camera charisma. And that's through my 30-day video challenge. I send them a prompt, they answer the prompt with a video, and now over time they're getting better and better and showing up on camera. The other ways
Awesome.
is yeah, the third and the fourth ways is I have a full 8-week course that walks them through deeper into setting up their own spaces or a one-on-one consult that they can book. And if they don't have the time and the energy, then they can bring me on site to help set the studio for them. But they still have to put in the work to get better in
Yep.
talking to the camera, right? You still got to put that work. You can step in a Ferrari, but you don't know how to drive it because you might crash it.
Love it. Love the analogy. Well, first of all, Junaid, thank you so much for being on the show today. I will post up all of the links in the description, also in the show notes down below, so people can like reach out to you and opt in for the service they actually want to. Any last thing you want to say before we round the show up?
Yeah, man. And entrepreneurs is a amazing level of people because you want to take the matters of your life in your own hands. And I love that. So go out and go do the thing that you love, and you'll find the people following you. Before you know it, you're a celebrity.
Wow, truly, truly appreciate it. And again, Junaid, thank you so much for being on the show today out there. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. We're definitely going to see you guys in the next episode. Until then, peace out.